The rain had just stopped falling, leaving the streets glistening with tiny mirrors of water that reflected the gray sky above. On the steps of Ridgewood Academy, a prestigious private school where every brick seemed to whisper wealth and privilege, a boy sat quietly by himself. His name was Ethan, just 12 years old, but his life had already been carved with scars that went deeper than most children his age could imagine. Ethan was not like the other kids. Born with a condition that left him unable to walk without braces and crutches, he carried the constant weight of stares, whispers, and laughter that sliced sharper than knives. And that morning, as the students poured out of class, the storm he dreaded most arrived. 3 boys, older, louder, filled with the kind of arrogance that comes from knowing their parents' money could erase consequences, circled him. Their sneers were cruel, their voices sharp with mockery. "Look at him. Robot legs again! Careful, Ethan, don't trip over yourself," one jeered, kicking lightly at his crutch. Another leaned in, smirking. "Maybe we should race him to the gate." Oh wait, he'd lose before he started. Ethan's face burned red. He tried to hold his ground, gripping the handles of his crutches tighter, but the familiar lump in his throat rose, making it hard to breathe. The laughter grew louder, echoing across the courtyard, while the other students pretended not to see, because it was easier to turn away than to stand up for someone who couldn't stand for himself. But that day, someone didn't turn away. From across the courtyard, a girl's voice sliced through the cruelty like thunder. "Why, leave him alone." The boys turned. Standing there was Maya, a black girl with fierce eyes and braids that shimmered under the dull sunlight. She was only 13, new to the school, and she didn't come from wealth. Her scholarship had been a miracle, won by brains and relentless determination. She was the outsider, the one kids whispered about, because she didn't wear designer shoes or carry the newest phone. Yet, at that moment, she looked stronger and braver than anyone else in the courtyard. She stormed forward, planting herself between Ethan and the bullies. "What's wrong with you?" she spat, her voice trembling not from fear but fury. "You think you're tough, picking on someone who can't fight back. That doesn't make you strong, it makes you cowards." The courtyard went silent. The bullies blinked, caught off guard by her boldness. One of them sneered, "Mind your business. He doesn't need a bodyguard." Maya's chin lifted, her stance unshakable. "Maybe not, but he deserves respect, and if you can't give him that, then you'll deal with me." For a heartbeat, nobody moved. Then one of the boys muttered under his breath and shoved past, retreating. The others followed, their bravado crumbling under the weight of her courage. Ethan blinked up at her, eyes wide with disbelief. Why did you do that?" he whispered. Maya smiled softly, crouching so she could meet his gaze. "Because it was the right thing to do, and because you don't deserve to fight alone." And right here, dear viewers, if this moment touched your heart, don't forget to like this video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to Exposed Tales for more stories that reveal the courage, kindness, and strength hidden in everyday lives. Ethan's heart swelled with something he hadn't felt in a long time: hope. For the first time in months, he didn't feel invisible. What neither Maya nor Ethan realized was that someone had been watching. From the tinted windows of a sleek black car parked near the gate, a man in a tailored suit had seen everything unfold. His jaw tightened as his eyes followed the bullies slinking away, then softened when they landed on Maya, still standing guard like a warrior beside his son. That man was Alexander Kane, the billionaire founder of one of the world's leading tech empires. To the world, he was ruthless, sharp, a man who had built his empire on deals that crushed competitors. But inside, he carried a gnawing guilt. His billions could buy his son the best doctors, the best schools, the best everything, except friendship, except protection, except the one thing Ethan craved most: acceptance. Alexander had hired bodyguards, tutors, therapists, but none of them could shield Ethan from the cruelty of children. Watching from his car, Alexander's heart cracked as he realized something: his son's savior wasn't money, wasn't power. It was a girl with no wealth at all, just courage. That evening, when Ethan came home and recounted the moment, his face glowing with admiration for Maya, Alexander knew he had to act. But what he did next shocked everyone. Instead of sending flowers or writing a thank you note, Alexander Kane personally arrived at Maya's modest apartment the next morning. The building was old, the paint chipped, the halls dimly lit. He stood at the door in his $1,000 suit, looking completely out of place, and when Maya's mother opened the door, her eyes widened in alarm. "Mr. Khan," she stammered. "What are you?" He bowed his head slightly. "I owe your daughter more than you can imagine. She defended my son when no one else would. May I come in?" Inside, Maya froze, stunned at the sight of Ethan's father in her living room. He wasn't on a screen, or in the papers, or standing on a stage. He was here, real, looking at her with gratitude instead of arrogance. "Maya," Alexander said softly, kneeling so he was at eye level with her, "yesterday you gave my son something I couldn't buy for him. You gave him dignity. You gave him a friend, and I will never forget that." Her eyes widened. I just did what was right." He smiled faintly. "And that is exactly why it matters." From that day forward, everything changed. Alexander didn't swoop in with wealth to overwhelm Maya's life. Instead, he built a bridge of opportunity. Scholarships not just for her, but for kids like her, anti-bullying campaigns at the academy, programs that taught empathy and kindness alongside academics. And at the center of it all, he made sure Ethan and Maya's friendship was celebrated, not silenced. But more than the money, what shocked people most was Alexander himself. For the first time, he stepped back from his empire to spend time at the academy, to sit with his son, to learn from children like Maya what real courage looked like. The once ruthless billionaire began to change, because a young girl had reminded him of something the world had made him forget: humanity. Years later, when Maya graduated as valedictorian and Ethan rolled proudly across the stage beside her, the audience rose in thunderous applause. And in the front row, Alexander Kane stood, tears glistening in his eyes, knowing that the greatest empire he would ever build wasn't made of steel and glass. It was built on compassion, on courage, on the unshakable bond between two children who had dared to defy cruelty. And before we close this story, friends, if this journey moved you, don't forget to hit like, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to Exposed Tales for more powerful stories that reveal the beauty of courage and kindness. Because sometimes the smallest acts of bravery ignite the biggest changes. And sometimes it takes a child to remind even the richest man alive what it means to be truly human.